Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, babies in their diapers, welcome to the Tiberius Show with your host, Tiberius Boy!
That's me, Tiberius!
And welcome to the Tiberius Show today, and I'm your host, Tiberius Boy! And as always, we're looking at various jobs and how they affect the world around us. Today's is going to be very interesting. We're going to talk to an artist and author. Well, do you have any idea what an artist does? Well, I assume they make pretty stuff, but let's find out for sure. Let me introduce our next guest, the one, the only, the amazing Susan Drayton.
Hi, everyone. Hi.
Well, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. Okay, so you as an artist, we all took art class, and I know there's different types of art. Well, what type of art do you make?
The type that I make and focus on most is whimsical fantasy art, which I bring in anything from Mother Nature and using it in an abstract way. And it's very symbolic as well. And it mostly is geared around spirituality. And I deal mostly and focus mostly with oil paintings. I do acrylic as well, and pencil, colored pencil, gesso, all kinds that I do to just express who I am and the mood that I'm in.
Okay, so what sparked your interest in being an artist?
Well, it started at a very early age. I was in the preschool age where my mother introduced me to these ginormous books that were watercolors. And I just spent time, long times, days doing it and wouldn't get bored. And then afterwards, I excelled into just wanting to sketch with pencil on paper. And then from there, my interest just grew. I wanted to do it professionally, get professional lessons, but that was denied. That didn't happen till later on in my adulthood.
Ah, okay. Now, I know that most artists have to have a day job. Well, did you have to get a day job until your art took off?
Well, this is what I did. I worked 2 jobs, and in between, I was promoting my books. And then at times, I would have 3 jobs. But what I did was I would invest my money and just forget about it, because I knew that one day I would have to take a plunge and go full time with it. And here I am. That's what I did. I just lined up my ducks in a row and just thought of a plan that was tangible. And I cut back on a lot of bills, and I still do, because I'm trying to get to my next goal of really having things in a more in-depth of a flow. And it's working for me. I'm not so working much for it, if that makes sense. But yeah, I had to make choices. You know, what was the priority? Was it my goal, investing in me and this new journey that I'm on, or the 9 to 5? And 9 to 5 is not my thing.
Yeah. So, when did you know that you made it as an artist?
When I started venturing out more in doing different social platforms and events out in the world, different cities, towns, and slowly started getting notarized and a following. I mean, I'm still not to where I would love to be, but I'm leaving that to God to deal with. I'm just sticking with taking the actions that I can do and make, which sometimes I have to work on my patience.
So, did you try different types of art, or did you know right away that the painting was where your passion was?
I tried different arts, which I love doing different things, but for whatever reason, I keep on gravitating back to oil paintings. So that's what I stick to. because that's my comfort zone, but I'm not afraid to try different things. But oil painting is my thing.
Okay. Well, I noticed that most of your work is like fantasy and fairies. Well, what is your motivation for this style?
Well, I do a lot of meditations. I do spend a lot of time in nature, and being a Reiki master as well, I'm very in tune with spirituality and just tapping into nature. Um, I go into this meditative state where the imagination becomes real, and that's where I get my inspiration.
Okay. Well, does it take a lot of training to become an artist?
It's like everything else. You have to practice, 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 and don't force it. Enjoy it, go with the flow. And people are always going to criticize you. That's the one thing that I love about this field. It really preps you the best way that it can for criticism and how to handle it. And yep, sometimes it gets to you, and other times you just look at it and be like, okay, let's take that into consideration. And sometimes it you just got to let it go.
Okay. Well, I know that there are more to being an artist in the final product. Well, what are the types of tasks you have to do every day?
Well, I have to plan what it is that I want my subject matter to be, my composition. What is the story that I want to tell in that narrative of the canvas? And obviously, it's like a book. You can give somebody the same storyline, and everybody's going to have a different perspective. That's to be expected. That's what I love about art. There is no right or wrong, it's your personal interpretation. But that's what goes into it, is what do I want to have as a subject matter, along with the composition and the hues. And yeah, just take it from there.
I see. So, what's the best part about being an artist?
Going with the flow and expressing yourself without any limitations or any red tape or guidelines. It's just going with the ebb and the flow of what you feel in that moment, and just being you and expressing who you are at any given time, and just learning about the depths of yourself and where you're going as an artist, because what you were once dabbling in, you may not want to present it that way any longer. So you come up with new and different exciting techniques.
Okay. Now, here seems like a good time to take a quick commercial break. Let's hear a word from our sponsors.
The Tiberius Show would like to thank one of their dedicated sponsors, Custom Designs Orlando. These guys are on Mills Avenue and do all sorts of stuff, ranging from photo ID badges, engraved signs, custom braille ADA signs, vinyl lettering to trophies and awards. The cool part about Custom Designs is they can ship products all over the United States. You can reach them at 407-898-0373 and tell them that
Tiberius
sent you.
And we are back here talking with Susan Drayton. She's an artist that works with sketches, oil painting, and even watercolors. So, Susan, it says here that you're also an author and wrote a book called Worthiness. Well, can you tell me more about that?
Yes. So in 2017, I published the book. And prior to that, I was going through some really tough times in my life, things that just didn't fit anymore. And I needed to make a decision, didn't want to make a decision. So I escaped into Never Land called Worthiness. And so I decided to create all these illustrations, and I was doing it to just escape from my reality. But I didn't realize that the angels had something else planned along with the fairies, and that was the message of Seth being at a crossroads and having to make a decision, in embracing his authenticity of who he is and where he is, and the new that is to come in the new phase of his life. And yes, I am Seth. in the story.
Okay. Now, I have the book here. Well, the story's about a dragon named Seth. Well, where did you get the idea to write this book?
Well, the idea just kept on coming to me after I did the illustrations. I knew I had to sit down and complete it, which I never really wrote a book before. It actually intimidated me, but slowly I just kept on coming up with a storyline through the images that I created first. I do it backwards, obviously, and the same thing with my second book, The Beauty of Naya. I always illustrate first and then write afterwards. So through the illustrations is how I came with the storyline. It helped me to visualize and meditate what was going on at different times of my life. And that's how I came up with that storyline.
Okay. Now, you wrote this book for kids to address mental health. Well, how does this book assist children with emotions?
Well, what I like about it is that through the softness of the illustrations, you can actually use it to introduce it to the children and to discuss what is going on with Seth and the open and ended questions that the storyline also allows. And what I also love is that the colors too. A lot of people identified their emotions with colors, and it helps with the moods and the emotions for them.
Mm-hmm. So, how long did it take to write the book?
Well, the writing, I want to say it took me, I want to say 6 months because I wasn't sure. I just wasn't sure. And then I ended up getting someone who is a major in English, and I had her look through it. And then I had somebody of an editor look through it. And then I just put it aside and said, okay, it's done. I forgot about it, but the angels kept on niggling me, and over at different times of the night, which would be between 1:30 to 2:30 in the morning, I would be wide awake. And the one thing that would come to me is the book. The book would
Ah.
come to me. And so it was a clear message that I had to send it out and get it published, which someone, a waitress, told me about mascot books, and I did some research. And so I want to say 2 o'clock in the morning, I decided to do a blurb, typed it out, send out the images, and said, okay, I did it. Now I can go back to sleep, not get any interruptions. Forgot about it again. And then 2 weeks later, I got the email, and they wanted to publish the book. And I was driving over the Braga Bridge, and to me, it was being on top of the world. I remember having the windows rolled down, and I just screamed in such joy that I never thought in a million years that my book would be published. I just
Mm-hmm.
did it for my mental health.
Well, on top of making the story, well, you did all the illustrations. Did you already know in your head what you wanted when you started?
Uh, no, not really. I just know I wanted the fairies and a dragon. I didn't really know what I was going to do with it, and I kept on changing it. And I just had to keep on going back and forth into the woods to be inspired by nature to get a lot of the background scenery of it. And through that, I started diving in deep within me and my imagination even more, which I think that was a gift from the fairies.
Mm-hmm. So, were you always interested in writing when you were a kid?
No, not at all. No, not whatsoever. This just came.
Okay. So, what was the craziest thing that has happened while you were doing your passion?
The writing. The writing was the craziest because I never thought in a million years that I would be writing books. I never knew that that was part of my purpose. And like I said, I just now this year published my second one, The Beauty of Naya, in March. And now I'm already rolling into my third one, which is Surging from the Kingdom Within, which that's going to be something obviously totally different. So that's new. That's a gift. That's a gift to me. And I am very grateful that I discovered it through my paintings.
Okay, so what's more fun, painting artwork or writing a story?
Ooh, that's a good one because I I love the both of them because they are totally different aspects of mediums. And it depends what kind of story you want to write. Do you want a thriller, suspense, a twist, a plot twist? So that is adventurous to me and exciting, and I love that. But I also love my paintings because I sometimes I'm at a point where I don't think of the subject matter. I just start to paint and something wonderful just comes right out.
Mm-hmm. Well, what's the hardest part about your work?
Finding time to just quiet the mind sometimes of all the outside chitter chatter. But once I do and I'm in that flow, it's pretty awesome. It's a great Milky Way to be on.
Mm-hmm. So who can you say was the person that helped drive your passion the most?
Um, Honestly, my mentor, Susan Cabral, she was the one that started with giving me the confidence with the art. Because as I said later on in my adulthood life, she was a blessing that came into my life. And she taught me more of the in depth of art in different perspectives. And once she saw that I was going to do this book, her question was, what are you going to do? You can always go on vacations, you can always do this and that and so forth, but you're presented something really unique. And so I rolled the dice and took a chance. Even though I was actually running from it, I the angels made me sit down and face it. And I'm glad I honed in and listened and did it.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, being a very spiritual person, I always collaborate and meditate and pray with the angels, and they're
Mm-hmm.
my strongest motivation.
Well, what advice would you give to my listeners if they wanted to grow up and be an artist?
I say, I say, go for it. Follow those intuitions that are whispers and just have fun with it. Don't force it. And if you really want to be that artist, you can seriously be an artist, and you just need to financially set yourself up as good as you can. There'll always be hiccups. Know that it's temporary, and support yourself
Okay.
with people that believe in your vision.
Okay. So what's the best advice you've ever received and who gave you that advice?
The best advice that I ever received, oh my God, was to be authentic.
Who gave you that
No matter
advice?
what. Say that again.
Who gave you the advice?
My closest friends that know me well, I have a tight bond with them, and sometimes I'm experiencing things that are not so pleasant, but I'm always reminded to be authentic in doing what I
Okay.
do.
Well, what was the very first job that you've ever had?
I was believe it or not, a cake decorator at the age of 16 in a
Nice.
bakery. Yeah, so that's what I did out in public, and it was fun taking orders and creating.
Well, was there anything you learned from that job that helped you be a better artist?
Uh, it's the customer service, listening to people, what they want, what they desire, and celebrating life.
Well, what message do you want to tell children all over the world about doing the work that you do?
That everything's going to be okay, even though you take different turns that don't make sense in life. Just go with the flow and the ebb. Somehow it's the current is taking you to exactly where you belong, and have faith.
Okay. Well, on that note, let's take a quick break to pay some bills. And we are back here with Susan Drayton, and is an author, also became a speaker. Ooh. So how did you come from artist to author and then a speaker?
Well, since the books are about worthiness and grateful, I started slowly being approached by teachers that wanted me to go into their classrooms and talk about the book, whether it be from the composition of how to write a book, how to write stories, to illustrating. And then it just became another platform for me to talk about the emotions, the tools, and how to equip yourself with how to get through some tough times. I call it the wave of anxiety and so on. So it just snowballed from one canvas to the next and to this. And I love it because Seth is spreading his wings and the mermaids are flapping their fins and they're sharing their stories with one
Okay.
and all. And here was the platform, a new version of me. And that was another gift.
Well, what was that one artwork that you're most proud of?
Oh my gosh. The one that I'm most proud of, that I love, is the one that I created, which is in the middle. There is a portal and it goes into the woods, and it is symbolic of different cultures, nature, all coming together as one and going through the portal. And it's very mystical and magical. I love it.
Okay. Well, if you could go back 10 years and tell yourself something, what would it be?
That I think it would be, get ready. Something amazing is going to take place, and don't sweat the small stuff, and just enjoy life more, because everything is temporary.
Okay. Well, what was the biggest mistake you ever made, and how did it change you as a person?
Wow. The biggest mistake, the biggest mistake was doubting who I was at one point in my life, to the point that I lost myself and who I was. And I had to go through some really moments where I had to shut myself from the world and reintroduce myself, and how I wanted to introduce myself. Where am I going? Who am I now? Because the old had to go. And so, yeah, that was my big mistake, was losing myself and putting myself last when I should have had myself first all along.
Okay. Well, can you explain that for a kid?
Yeah. So, whatever makes you happy, do it. You'll always have friends. Don't people please. Those that love you will be with you no matter what you do. Just be you and shine, and do the things that make you happy. Don't sacrifice for someone else. Do it for you through investment, and your friends will see you shine, that they're going to love you and want to be with you no matter what.
So, when you're not working, what do you do for fun?
I love going to the beach. I love to travel. I love to eat. I love to spend time with friends and family, and just be me. Sometimes I love to just be quiet and just listen to the world.
Mm-hmm. So, do you play video games? And if you do, what's your favorite one?
Oh my gosh. No, I do not play video games.
Not even on your phone?
No, not on my phone. I don't. I don't play video games.
Dang.
What do you play?
Video game.
What kind?
VR games like Gorilla Tag, Roblox
Ooh.
games, Beat games a lot actually, and other games that I can find.
Awesome.
So, what's your favorite book to read that you haven't written?
My favorite book. I like the Stephen King books. I like his
Ooh.
books. I like that one.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I haven't had time to really sit down and like nosedive into a book where I can't release myself from it. I haven't done that in a while. But
Mhm.
yeah, Stephen King. I love his shiitakes. Yes.
Okay. 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 Now, can you tell me that one story? You never remember. This is a kid's show. But the one story, well, that you're not supposed to tell me about. Come on. You can tell me.
Okay. I actually ate a worm. And
What?
I was a child. I loved climbing trees. We had a cherry tree, and I ended up eating a cherry, not realizing that I ate half a worm.
Wow. Well, is there anything else you think my listener should know about you and what you do?
Well, I'm just a carefree kind of type of person. I enjoy life, and I truly want to see people invest in themselves in wanting to be exciting and adventurous and spread love. Spread love.
Okay. Well, do you have a Facebook or website for my listeners who want to follow you?
Yes. So I have a website, www.enchantedwingsllc.com. I also have an Instagram, Dragon and Fairies 555. And you can find me on Facebook as Susan Drayton, Drayton. And there you have it.
Okay. So, what is that one question that you think I forgot to ask you?
My favorite color.
Well, what is your favorite color?
Well, my favorite color actually is red.
Wow, really?
Yes,
Okay.
it's
Well,
a rooted color, and it's also a passionate color, and it also is someone who's determined to conquer things in life.
okay. Well, thank you so much, Susan, for being my special guest. Can you stick around for Math Corners?
Yes, I can, darling.
Over 40 years, Lighthouse Central Florida has provided education, independent life skills, and job training to thousands of Central Floridians who live with blindness or any degree of vision loss. Whether it's picking out clothes in the morning or just moving around your community and serving Orange, Seminole, and Osceola counties, contact Lighthouse Central Florida at 407-898-2483 or visit them online at lighthousecfl.org.
Tiberius' favorite subject, it's Math Corners!
And thank you so much, Susan, for helping me with Math Corners. This week, we're going to do some more multi-step word problems. My dad is always good at finding new problems for me to solve. Today, we're going to talk about candy. Ooh.
Okay. Candy.
So, at a local fair, Tommy and his brother collected 53 pieces of candy altogether. Each of them ate 5 pieces of candy that evening. The next day, Tommy had 19 pieces left. So how many pieces did Tommy's brother have left?
I believe it was 24.
Ooh, maybe. Well, first is a real world problem because we do know that kids love candy and want to be sure that they don't lose any. So, to solve this issue, you first have to figure out how many pieces they have combined in the morning. So, since they both ate 5 pieces that night, you subtract 10 from the 53 pieces that they started with. Well, that gives you 43 pieces. Now, if Tommy only has 19, then his brother has the rest. So, 43 minus 19 is 4, borrowed 1, 2. So, his brother has 24 pieces of candy. You were right.
Yay!
So, Susan, did you ever get a bunch of candy and only eat 5 pieces?
No.
Exactly.
No.
Well, my teacher said that I would use math every day. How do you use math as an artist?
Well, math, I have to use it due to the canvas. When you do 3D, when you're trying to do a back scenery, a medium, up front, and something very close. So there I would have to take measurements and apply math into it to all line up in the composition of the subject. So I would have to use rulers, that type of thing,
Yeah.
and pencil, measure it all off that way.
Well,
Like
thank
a
you so
grid.
Well, thank you so much, Susan, for your help with Math Corners.
Thank you.
And now it's time for the Heart of a Lion. As you know, we talk about the qualities of living by the Heart of a Lion, which stands for leadership, integrity, obedience, and nobility. Well, this week, we're going to talk about obedience. For me, I think obedience is being fully committed to doing what is pleasing to God. Well, the qualities of obedience are compliance with a good attitude and respect for the laws. You know when someone is obedient when they follow instructions willingly and thoroughly. So this week, my dad reminded me to do an English project that I have due. I wanted to play with my friends, but my dad insisted that I should either work on some math or do the English project. So I picked the math. Yeah, but after the math was done, my dad took me to a computer shop and brought my Chromebook so I could work on my English project anyway. Well, this time I jumped in with both feet and designed a cool newspaper page featuring the book I was reading. Well, after I got into it, it was kind of fun. So I kept a good attitude even though I really did not want to do the project. So, Susan, did you see or use obedience at all this week?
Yes. When
Okay.
I have commission work that clients will ask me to do a specific drawing or painting, and it's not really my type of thing, but I have to be obedient in still executing the quality of it and the coloring, the position, so that it brings that happiness to the client.
Okay. Well, of all of the Heart of a Lion virtues, which is the one that you see the most?
Um, I would say the integrity one, you know.
Okay.
Um, you got to be honest with your clients and your audience with who you are at all times, even behind closed doors and so forth. And so for me, it's definitely integrity.
Okay. Well, we should always try and be lion strong in everything we do, shouldn't we?
Yes, always.
And that's our show, folks. I'm going to thank the one, the only, the amazing Susan Drayton for being on my show.
Thank
It-
you for having me.
No problem. Well, it has been so much fun talking to you today. I think we learned a lot about being an artist and telling your story.
Thank you for having me and sharing my views on who I am and what I do.
No problem. Well, do you mind giving your social media and website again?
Yes. So my social media, you can go on Instagram, which is Dragon and Fairies 555. Facebook is just Susan Drayton, Drayton. And my webpage is www.enchantedwingsllc.com.
Okay. Also, you can find me on Facebook and Instagram at The Tiberius Show. And I would like to thank WWPR 1490 AM, KINT 98, Soul Radio 24/7, Easyway TV, and all the other stations that air my show. And please just visit The Tiberius Show on YouTube and hit that subscribe button. Susan, are you subscribed yet?
Yes, I am, and I follow you on Instagram too.
Sweet. Oh, and be sure to leave a comment and tell me if you want to be an artist. Also, be sure to us next week on The Tiberius Show with your host, Tiberius Boy.